What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlegamia here, back with another news video. There's two big news stories today, including a major AEW console game update, including a release date, as well as a game designer talks the real reason why WWE 2K20 flopped. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know when we release a video. Now, our first story looks at AEW Video Game Update. Our wrestling fans and gamers alike have been in suspense ever since AEW Executive Vice President Kenny Omega revealed that an AEW video game is in the works. As with any game, one of the biggest questions is just when the game will be released. The current AEW World Heavyweight Champion spoke with TalkSport's Alex McCarthy about the game's development and when fans might expect it. Omega said he wants to produce a game that incorporates the best of fan-favorite games such as No Mercy and WWE SmackDown vs. Raw, but he also realizes the biggest challenge we have right now is kind of representing the current wrestling style in a way that still makes it feel like the games of old. Because things have changed, it's not the same wrestling climate as it was in 2000. As a gamer himself, Omega is clearly committed to producing a quality product that appeals to wrestling fans and gamers alike. Let's make sure we're able to make it feel like this is wrestling in 2021, but it still feels like No Mercy, but it can still be fun for not only the wrestling fan, but the casual gamer who picks up a controller and drops his friend on his head. Although wrestling video games remain popular regardless of the popularity of professional wrestling itself, a high-grade game could not only sell well, but interest gamers who don't watch wrestling and the AEW product. Omega feels that one of the important components to a successful game is downloadable content, much like Grand Theft Auto 5. This is crucial considering how rosters change, titles are added, and new pay-per-views are created. In case you haven't been following the news about the untitled AEW game, Omega previously revealed that the console game will feature a campaign mode, create a wrestler, and a number of unusual modes that have not been named. The game is being developed by Yuke's, the Japanese developer responsible for a number of popular WWE games. Omega told McCarthy that there are two development teams working on the game, with one based in America and the other based in Japan. In terms of the game's release date, Omega could only provide an estimate, saying he hopes to have it out in early 2022. Nevertheless, he noted, "We do know that time is of the essence. We can't let this sit around forever and people want a game like yesterday, so we do want to release something as soon as we feel it's ready and representative of what our brand should be and what will make fans happy." At the same time, Omega knows the pitfalls of rushing a game out before it's ready. "We don't want a cyberpunk launch. We're going to create something that will be fun to play from day one, but it will be ever evolving as our roster is. With any luck, AEW Games will get the game out in a timely fashion without releasing it prematurely, as was the case with Cyberpunk 2077. Next up, a former game developer reveals the reason why 2K20 flopped. Speaking of rushed video games that were released long before they were ready, Justin Leeper, the writer, director, and designer of the popular Road to Wrestlemania mode in 2009 to 2011's edition of SmackDown vs. Raw video games, shared his thought on what went wrong with 2K20. In an exclusive interview with Inside the Ropes, Justin explained he thinks the primary factor in the game's failure was the departure of the developer Yuke's. As Justin sees it, it was a very difficult situation because whoever you believe on the timeline, Yuke's was no longer on the project for 2K20 and they were always on the project for 20 years. They built a car that was pulling the game to stores every year, and when you don't have the driver and the mechanic there and you try to put someone else in the driving seat, it's always going to be difficult, and especially with such a time crunch. Justin discussed how Yuke's had developed a system for building a new game within a year, a process that 2K's new team just couldn't match up. When you get rid of those people, you have to fill them, you have to replace them with somebody. Visual Concepts was just not equipped to do that kind of production and make the kind of sacrifices I think that Yuke's did to get these games out. It's such a tough thing for them to do to get taken for granted, and I think when we saw that, they weren't there, and it's their engine. Justin talked of the long hours that Yuke's workers put in, recalling how he would visit the Yuke's office and see employees sleeping under their desks. However you may feel about companies imposing crunch time on their employees to get a game out, Yuke's found a way to craft a new wrestling game every year. But as fans know, 2K20 was a disaster from its launch date, and even major patches failed to make the game rise from the gutter. Well, there you have it folks, the latest wrestling video game news. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling video game content.